Welcome to my humble abode. I am Yorkie the Talespinner, and this is Tales Over Coffee, our morning show where we start the day with a coffee together. And a narrative tale, hopefully to welcome a blessed day. I hope this day finds you all in fine health and raring to go. This is Suzerain, where we continue the tale of Anton Rain's presidency. I have a feeling is on the verge of falling apart. Balance of power. Private party of the Gentleman's Club. Let's see how bad it is with Petr. Far from becoming accustomed to my workload as president, I only felt more and more snowed under as the weeks passed. It had been ages since I had any time to myself. I was starting to lose my focus, and my temper was growing increasingly thin. Petr was the first to realize I needed a break. After much cajoling, he finally persuaded me to come to a meeting of his new venture, Gentleman's Club. For the past few months, he'd been hosting a saloon of sorts. Not just for politicians and businessmen, but for artists, entertainers, people of taste, he told me with a smile on his face. There was only one rule: no wives or girlfriends were allowed, hence the name. And so I found myself in front of his luxury villa in Earlery. You see, the funny thing is, I agree with spaces that are simply for men and spaces that are simply for women. Not as in restricted as in women you belong in your place, or men should have a special privilege. But sometimes there comes a time to share with people similar to you, just the same as there should be for racial minorities, mental health, autism, and various other groups. There's nothing wrong with having a space that's for a group, as long as that group is not exclusive beyond that space. And so I found myself in front of his new luxury villa in Earlery. Very loud jazz music emanated from inside. I waited and waited. The thing I don't like is that often these things turn out to be nothing but sexism. That's where the issue comes. Finally, Petr opened the door. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Anton, finally, now the real party can start. Come in. Drinking to excess, Petr. As soon as I entered, Petr closed the door and turned to the small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. I now have the privilege to present you the man himself, fourth president of Sordland, and Mr. Anton Rain. I'd known him for long enough to understand that he was more than a little drunk. He made an elaborate mock curtsy as I passed him and walked into the room. The music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. Bit too harsh. Joke along. Thank you, Petr. What's next? A choir? A marching band? No, I'm saving those for your funeral. Petr laughed very hard at his own grim joke before continuing. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to our very special guest. If I may, Anton. Here, take this. He handed me a glass of whiskey and put his hand on my shoulder. We all know why we're gathered here tonight: to celebrate life, to have a brief escape from our tumultuous profession. I personally don't know any better cure for stress than a little drink. Only a little one. A few people in the crowd chuckled and some raised their glasses. Now, the tradition dictates that as the club president, I have to remind you of the house rules. There are 3. No politics, no wives, no one sober. Not the most helpful gathering. There's nothing wrong with drinking as well, but this is starting to sound just bad. Petr drank the whiskey in his glass in one go. Sip your whiskey. Anton Rain might have the power to make presidential decrees, but I, Petr Vectern, the president of the club, now declare this party started. Music, go. The band started up again. After greeting the crowd around me, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. We walked through the corridors of his mansion. Statues and paintings lined the stark white walls. An arched window provided a view of the neatly manicured grounds, complete with a swimming pool. A grand lesbian marble staircase led up to the second story. We don't see... Just one moment. We seem to have a technical issue here. There we are. Sorry, we were without music. There was a slight glitch on the picking up of the headphones. The chandelier was made in the 18th century. Can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. Are you paying for all this? I'll let you in another secret. Gus Manger has a lot of contacts in real estate. He brokered a good deal for me. He'll also be here tonight. I can introduce you if you'd like. What did you promise him in return? Only my money. We continued walking until we circled back to where we had started. What do you think of my little hideaway? It's amazing, but I'd hardly call it a hideaway, more like a palace. It definitely doesn't rival yours. Anyway, let's get back to the party. Yes, but mine is the state, isn't it? I arranged for some caviar to be brought in from Lesbia. You're going to love it. He opened the door to the main hall and we rejoined the other guests. The music was louder now and the mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waitresses were carrying around plates of canapes, wearing dresses that left little to the imagination. As I said, all too often these can devolve into sexism. There's nothing wrong with a meeting place. But, yeah. I thought this was a gentleman's club. Would you rather get served by wrinkly old men? I'm fine with it. Sweetheart, over here. He waved at one of the waitresses and she came over to us. She was in her mid-20s, wearing red lipstick, her blonde hair neatly tied in a ponytail. On her plate were toast points slathered in lesbian caviar Petr had mentioned. This looks particularly bad since I'm already working on encouraging reform of the sexism system in the school. We don't then take it to the outside. I took a bite. It was rich, salty, tasting of pure seaside. I could almost hear the sound of waves and seagulls. Lesbian caviar, best in the world, I'm telling you, Anton. There are few pleasures in life that are this. There's the waitress left to serve another attendee. He flashed a quick smile at Petr over his shoulder. Back a little too broadly. Petr, what are you doing? Are you... I'm not going to assume he's cheating, but that seemed a little cozy. Sensual. His eyes were still fixed on her with an expression I remembered from our many nights out together as students. Oh, look, there's Gus. Why don't you talk to him? I will be back shortly. Petr, I'm warning you, don't make a mistake. Mistake? What are you talking about? I'm just going to the washroom. I'll be back before you know it. He left the room and I headed over to Gus. Gus Manger was standing next to a couple of men that I recognized as banking industry magnates. As I approached, all of them turned to me and bowed their heads. Mr. President, a toast to our new member, everyone. Gus and I clinked our glasses as the people around raised theirs. How long have you been a member? Since the beginning, said Gus. It's a fun gathering and quite lucrative at times. You might have heard from Petr that I arranged this deal for the mansion. He also told me that you might be interested in potential opportunities such as, well, this. He opened his arms, gesturing at our opulent surroundings. Let's take a walk. The balcony has an amazing view of Orrery. Yeah, I'm sensing very much conflict of interest here. And while I did say that power within the few exerted appropriately is strength, I didn't say power used for abusive reasons is strength. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way, he took out 2 cigars and held one out for me. No, I don't think I will right now, Gus. Gus lit up his own and started smoking. We went out to the balcony. All of Orrery was at our feet. From this vantage point, I was able to see how expansive the building plot was. The swimming pool had the hedge maze and were visible from here. Swimming pool and the hedge maze, not had the hedge maze. The hedge maze in the swimming pool would be difficult. Leaning over the railing, I admired the view for a moment before Gus spoke up. I know you're wondering about the deal Petr made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, He was able to procure this house for half the asking price, which would have been impossible under any other circumstances. I'll be delighted to discuss similar arrangements with you. In fact, I have prepared a document with my own personal favourite opportunities. Yes, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I don't need my back scratching here, Gus. I rather think you might have claws rather than fingers. This is the least I can do since you have been generous to many business people. Yeah, let's not lie, Gus. I'm not looking to make any investments at the moment. Real estate is the best investment anyone can make. In the current economic situation, it only makes sense to put your money into such a tangible asset. But I also have a few other opportunities for you to make a side profit. If real estate doesn't interest you, is there any chance I can convince you? No, there isn't. Very well, I won't push further. You'll excuse me, I'm going to refresh my drink. See you around. He'd left to rejoin the party. Alone on the balcony, I looked over Ellery. Suddenly I heard a rustling from the hedge maze below. I looked down and saw a silhouette. 2 silhouettes, actually. So close together they seemed to be entangled. I squinted and tried to get a better look. There was definitely 2 people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. Oh, Petr, I can't be sure. But I'd rather suspect we know who one of them is, don't we? I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with the other guests, engaging them in small talk about their businesses, their children, their relationships. Around an hour later, Petr showed up next to me. Well, at least he has stamina. See, I told you I'd be back before you knew it. Is that you in the hedge maze? What are you talking about? I told you I went to the washroom. I'll be direct. Were you kissing the waitress? What? No, how could you think that? I'm a married man. You know you can tell me anything. Hey, you can have her if you want. Anyway, want a drink? Because I do. You can have her if you want. What, you're passing on your used spares, are you? I do not like the way this man is looking up. He's been a friend for a long time. But he's questionable beyond mere questioning. He poured us 2 large glasses of whiskey and we drank them in one go. At the party we drank and drank, just like old times. I woke up the next day with a pounding headache and more than a few regrets. My memories of the evening were hazy, but there was one important detail that kept coming back to me. Red lipstick on Petr's collar. But maybe my memory was playing tricks on me. Let's hope so. President Rain saves the day. According to the information we've received, President Rain has decided that he will veto the Religious Harmony Bill. The bill itself has the words harmony on it, however, don't be fooled by the name. The proposal, prepared by Kazaro Kimna, took a stab at the heart of bloodish populace by banning bloodish language from being spoken at religious assemblies. Not for President Rain, this bill would never have come to pass. This bill would have come to pass. Every single blood should be grateful for the exemplary decision by the President. Briefing on the status of immigration regulation, White Room, Maroon Palace. We're in the middle of a meeting in the palace about our immigration policy. The ensuing discussion quickly became heated. Yosef Lancia said, I don't think so, Mr. Whiskey. It just doesn't make any sense to me that a foreign citizen should come before a Swedish citizen in Sordland. Well said, said Lilius. My analysis is also in line with this, especially during the economic recession. We are giving Swedish jobs to migrants from other countries. What about our own people? Immigrants are the reason our economy is not completely unsalvageable, said David. A lot of people don't realise just how much immigrants do contribute to a society. In many, many ways, but often financially. There are, of course, some that bleed from the finance of the society. Of course there are. There are plenty of people who are not immigrants who bleed from the society. Look at Agnolian immigrants in England. They revitalised the whole region, and in turn boosted the economy of the entire country. Simon can attest to that. Statistically speaking, said Simon, allowing immigrants to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree that our current situation is very nuanced. With that said, we can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put our economy and the recession at the forefront. Thankfully, we have just started receiving financial aid from Acacia. And then what? We'll become their servants? First they will place their warplanes in Ullery, then their armies will come. You'll see, said Iosef. I do not approve this decision at all. I'll let you question it. Doesn't mean I'll act on it. Don't be dramatic. We need to be friendly with our potential allies. Allies? Sordland has no allies and we never did. Yes, but we face Rumba getting extremely stupid, don't we, Iosef? Well said, Mr. Lancier, said Lilias. We can't be naive. Gentlemen, said David, can we please get back on topic? Right, I'm sorry, Mr. Whiskey, said Simon. As I was just saying before, said David, before I was interrupted, said David. Look at the superpowers. Do you see them closing off their borders? Why do you think their economies are in such good shape? They are in their current state because they welcome immigration and use it for their advantage. We need to consider the economic impact of immigration. Our money flow should be our utmost concern, said Simon, if we want to have the capability to accomplish actual change. We need a decision, said David, but before we move on... Mr. President, do you have any questions about the current state of immigration? What is the current legal status of immigrants? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival, so they can work and contribute to the economy of Sordland. There is currently no limit on the amount of immigrants accepted. However, the number has remained stable over the past years. A lot of countries do at least have a soft cap on immigration numbers, if not a hard one. Despite the laws, the fact is that many immigrants illegally work for corporations. That is the main issue with immigration right now, not the immigration itself, said Simon. Nonsense. If not for the unlimited amount of immigration, we wouldn't be in this state, said Lilias. How many immigrants live in Sordland? Official numbers say we have anywhere between 2 and 3 million immigrants in Sordland. With regard to illegal immigration, corporations make bank on that. And yet we blame the illegal immigrant, not the corporation. Official numbers 2 to 3 million immigrants residing in Sordland. Even excluding the countless undocumented aliens in our midst, that is a very substantial amount. The primary issue is the strife they cause between less fortunate Sword citizens and themselves. Including them in the workforce would benefit everybody, including unemployed Swords. More taxes means more services. That is true. And we've boosted the police force to help control violent protest. How do immigrants usually arrive here? There are 3 major paths they choose. The first one is the Agland to Agnolia border, the second is Bergia to Welland border, and the third is the Lauren coast. Agnolian to the largest group. The light border over there. Although, recently, political fugitives from Vagsland have been crossing the Grey Sea by boat to land on our coast. Politically persecuted Wezek refugees tend to use the dangerous mountain passes in the Welland border. Many of them also have bloodish blood. Move on and see what can be done. Very well. David Visky opened a dossier, stamped with the seal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before we make any decision, I have to remind you. During the elections, we promised to tighten immigration laws. Of course, as you know, I was and still am against it. Yes, we did, didn't we? I'm reimagining that now, but I don't want to betray promises too much. I agree with David, we can turn immigration to our advantage from a financial standpoint. Advantage, said Lilias. You should go over the amount of disadvantages caused by immigrants. I can provide you with a report later. Believe me, it would surprise you. We need to keep our promises and focus on our own citizens, said Iosef. That's what I think. David sighed wearily. This is going nowhere. If we decide to tighten immigration, what does that entail? We would have to impose quotas and connect to that stricter border control. on top of allowing our economy to take a hit, said Simon. Mr. Hall, surely the well-being of our citizens and our internal securities will more than compensate for any downturn in the market, said Lilius. Agreed, said Joseph. Swedish citizens should take priority. What are the consequences of keeping our immigration policy relaxed? Aside from keeping us on the path to prosperity, modernity, and continuous improvement, not much. Our current system is good for our era. We also have the capacity. Moment. This will allow us to continue protecting investments from foreign countries, in which in turn will keep our trade steady. We will be more trustworthy partners. Stability draws money. Stability? What stability? Demanded Lilius. We're already seeing clashes between our people and foreign interlopers. On the contrary, the only way we can achieve stability is through tightening our immigration policy. You heard the lady. Sordland first, said Joseph. Ready to make a decision. Yes? Ron leaned forward, eager to hear my response. You see, this isn't nuanced enough. I want to tighten immigration policies, yes, but not just a rough hammer. One of the things I want to do is start making sure that illegal immigrants are not hired by corporations. Certainly not exploitively. Well, not at all. Which is a penalty to all around, including them to some degree in some ways. But it's not going to let me do that, is it? It's one or the other. Well, we made a promise. Unfortunately, Sordland will move in this direction, but I trust you have good intentions. I'll move ahead with implementation. This has a chance to affect our trade negotiations with Agnolia negatively. I expect us to respect the flow of people, said Simon. Indeed, it will be a challenge to convince these countries as they see our borders close. We're not... This is one of the irritating things in a game like this. It's often all or nothing. That's not how it works in the real world. Not only that, we've already slighted Welland in the past. They might see this as a return to the 30s. I won't worry about that too much with how Welland is dealing with the bloodish terrorists. Would exit President Smolak would beg us to tighten our immigration. With that said, I don't fancy Welland as a partner since they are as reliable as flopping fish out of water. I'm against isolationism, it's the wrong path. And this is not about isolating Sordland, but protecting it. This will isolate us in every way. The more we are connected to the world, the better. The world is entering the age of globalization. The decision will make us stay behind. Anything else that needs to be said? Thank you for contributions. Let's wrap this up. I'm not happy with this part at all. The ministers gathered their documents and rose from their chairs, some with frowns on their faces. I'm looking forward to the upcoming trade talks. Petr and I have been visiting Stalfort and Raklovets in our preparation. I'll be coming to talk with the economy minister, looking forward to the potential partnership. We have finished. I need to head off and get the ministry to work on the new policy. Same here. Our body units need to be informed and prepared. Keep up the good work. Minister dispersed. I'm not happy with that section at all. Oh well. Which national leader is ever happy, to be honest? You step backwards in ending recession. The isolationist policies of President Reign are burying us deeper in the mud that is called a recession, with the latest changes toward tighter immigration. One of the main reasons President Reign's election was to entrust him with the responsibility to end the recession. The data is clear. A country that doesn't allow free access to the potential investors and skilled immigrants. Well, that said, I want to allow skilled immigrants. I don't want to allow illegal immigrants. By which I want to take on companies who are doing so. But you don't allow me to do that. Knowingly, President Rain still has decided to worsen Sordland's economy even further. Trade works with trust, and an isolationist country can't bear trust from any other nation. Sordland tightens up immigration. A series of latest policy changes announced by President Rain to tighten immigration has caused condemning responses in the international community, with the exception of Welland in the region. The Prime Minister of Agnolia has given a statement on television saying both Agnolian and Sordish people will be the ones to suffer from this unfortunate decision. I'm open to Agnolia be. This is why I don't like this one. It's nowhere near nuanced enough. It is bad. On the other hand, President Welland has given a different kind of response, saying it's good to see our good neighbour Sordland step up its greatness once more. Well, we will leave it there for now and come back next time. Well, let's check out the report here. Ministry of Interior. The Ministry of the Interior reports that the restructuring of the ministry has been completed with success after the increase of its budget. According to the report, some portion of the budget was transferred specifically to local police forces that are fighting against organised crime in northern Sordland, which have already made successful gains in the war against crime. The ministry reports that two major business rings of the two crime families, Coronelli and Skinner, have been shut down, and several high-ranking members have been arrested. With the implementation of the Witness Protection Programme, the Sordish police reports that they are confident in eliminating the said crime families in short future. And when we come back, we have the opening of the Benfey Festival. Alright. So, thank you for joining me. You've been a fine audience. I've been Yorkie the Talespinner, and this, my friends, has been Tales Over Coffee with Suzerain.